Betrayal of free expression. Denmark may outlaw Quran burnings. The Danish government has taken steps to formulate legal solutions to prevent the public desecration of the Quran and other religious texts, following a series of incidents in which the Islamic holy book was burned in Denmark and Sweden. These acts led to a hostile reaction, including the storming of the Swedish Embassy in Iraq. Danish Foreign Minister, oh boy, Lars Løkke Rasmussen, in an interview on July 30th, acknowledged the complexity of the task, stating, "There must be room for religious criticism, and we have no thoughts of reintroducing a blasphemy clause. But when you stand in front of a foreign embassy and burn a Quran or burn the Torah scroll in front of the Israeli embassy, it serves no other purpose than to mock." End quote. Sweden's prime minister emphasized the severity of the situation, likening it to the country's most serious security policy situation since World War II. Well, Swedish Foreign Minister Tobias Billström has held talks with the Organization for Islamic Cooperation, or OIC. Both governments are clear in their condemnations of the quote unquote Islamophobic acts, but are striving to ensure that any legal measures do not infringe on the deeply held value of free expression in both countries. So, here's the situation. Let me be clear, it is not that the Danish government is going to ban burnings of the Qurans in total, right? But there are people who are pushing to ban public desecrations of religious texts, specifically in public spaces like embassies. Specifically, like, it's mainly about doing this in front of an embassy that they're trying to like put some legislation around. And there's been some pushback, which I can discuss. And anyone who is from Sweden or Denmark is welcome to comment on this. I believe we have 2 people in our live chat right now who are within the relevant countries. So please give us your commentary. But Armin, what is your immediate reaction?
So can you have a protest in front of an embassy that is not burning a Quran or a Torah or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
Based on my understanding.
Can you burn things in a protest or desecrate things in a protest in front of an embassy that is not the Quran or the Torah?
If it's not religious, so this has to do with religious texts and symbols.
Okay. So we're introducing a religious privilege, basically.
Yes.
So do they not see the problem with that? Do you not see that you're setting a precedent with allowing legally how dangerous it is to have in law a set of rules that applies for protection of religious beliefs and not other beliefs? Do you not see the double standard that you're introducing here within your law, which opens the door, which normalizes and opens the door for arguments to other privileges and double standards based on religious belief?
Actually, there's a lot of politicians in the opposition that are specifically calling that out.
Okay, good. But this is insane. The argument I heard you making, who said this is like this serves no interest other than mocking? Who made that point? That this was
the Danish foreign minister.
Okay, so is the Danish foreign minister saying that activities that are purely meant to mock and do nothing else are okay to make illegal? Like, if that's the argument, they're trying to make this something illegal, and the argument is that this serves nothing other than mocking. So what about other activities that are meant for nothing but mocking, that are not targeting religion? Is that ban worthy? I mean, that argument makes no sense. Sometimes we want to mock. Why is that inherently ban-worthy? How is that? How are they saying that, oh, we want to respect our free speech and say these things at the same time? That's, you can't, if you say we want to respect our free speech laws, but this is just meant for mocking, you're contradicting yourself. That
Mm-hmm.
makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Free speech includes mocking.
Mm-hmm.
That's so
Especially
bizarre.
considering that like mockery and satire is actually one of the most like powerful forms of political commentary often.
See, if they want to ban things in front of embassies, then they better do it across the board over everything. You know what I mean? If this is having a major cost for security reasons for you, then just say no acts of protests total in general in front of embassies. At least make us be able to defend you because you're being consistent. Why is there a religious
That
privilege here?
position itself is indefensible. They would never go that far.
Then they can't go that. Then they can't take it. Then they shouldn't go. And then they shouldn't take even a one step, because if they can't go that far, then anything short of it would be a double standard based on religion. These are religious privileges. Then either go full way or don't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
You are making a mockery out of your own standards, out of your own laws. This is a European countries, and some people get to mock because their target is not religion, and some people don't get to mock because of religion. You are now from a position of the government recognizing the legitimacy of religious claims. This doesn't just violate free speech, this also violates secularism, because you, from a position of government, are saying that beliefs that are centered around a deity and is officially being recognized as a religion are more deserving of protection than other beliefs. This contradicts secularism as well. Who is the government to say that to people? That makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, Dee is exactly saying this. She's saying who gets to draw the quote unquote line? Who gets to have that authority? Are you comfortable with the state dictating that to you? It's a very deep question. But I want to read some of the statements by politicians in the opposition, because I think that they provided a good counterweight. And so this is from Denmark. So one of the opposition parties in a joint statement said, quote, all undersigned parties uphold fundamental Danish civil liberties and are of the opinion that civil liberties must always take precedence over religious dogmas, they wrote. By giving into outside pressure, the government could also open the door to foreign countries interfering with national politics, the parties added. This is a very good quote. I loved this. The veto of the violent man must not prevail and must not set the boundaries for Danish politics and Danish democracy. Exactly. Yeah. Despite the protest, the government will continue to work towards preventing the burning of Quran's Minister of Justice, Peter Hummelgaard, told public broadcaster DR. So, and I think for me, this is really what it's about, the veto of the violent man, right? Are we, or are you as a society, willing to give up something that should be afforded to all citizens otherwise, because there is a violent man willing to inflict that violence upon others? And the question that was raised about foreign interference, or is also a very prescient question.
Do you want to? I want to show you a video of something that happened today,
Oh my
depending
God.
on where you're living. Actually, for you, it might be yesterday. Okay, but either today or yesterday, depending on where you are, right? Okay, so we're talking about Denmark and in front of embassies. Do you want to see a recent development? Do you want to see a recent development?
Yeah, what happened?
Okay, okay, watch this. Watch this video. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to show you the beginning of the video and you tell me first if you've seen it already or not. Have you seen this video? Unmute yourself.
I said no, but I can already see where this is headed. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, so
Oh my goodness.
this is what I've been asking for. I've been saying on the Persian show that, guys, the Iranians in Europe, don't let Sweden stand alone. Don't let Sweden stand alone. And this is in Denmark. We say Denmark, you say Denmark. An Iranian woman with the shirt Women Life Freedom in front of the Iranian embassy. Her name is Firuze Bazrafkan, and she is going to desecrate the Quran, but she is not going to burn the Quran. No, 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 no. She's a responsible citizen.
Thank
That
you.
she wants Firuze wants to desecrate the Quran without causing any air pollution and also without littering, without any garbage on the ground. Yes. So let's look how responsible of a citizen she's being. So she makes sure that she's not violating any rules or any moral code, reasonable moral code. Okay. So let's look at this. Okay.
Oh my goodness. For those who are
Oh, by
listening,
the
she's
way,
holding a cheese grater and you see a little Quran on
yes.
the mini table.
Also, warning to Muslims who might be watching, you are about to see a desecration of the Quran. So if you don't like that, don't watch this part. Okay. So you have been warned. Trigger warning here. Okay. So there we go.
Okay, she's displaying the cheese grater. Displaying the Quran. Okay.
You have audio, right?
Yes. Is that an urn? Oh, it's the trash
It's
can.
trash can. She's a responsible citizen. She wants to make sure that there's no objection to what she's doing. She's tearing up the Quran. Pages from the
What's
Quran.
her method here? How is she going to use the cheese grater? Oh, I see. Okay, so she's going to ball it up and then use the cheese grater. I thought she was going to take the cheese grater to the side of the book. Okay.
Making sure that she doesn't get garbage on the ground. So no garbage on the ground, no littering, no violation of city rules. No contribution to carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Very clean. See? Nothing gets on the ground. She's also making sure that, look, she gets it, gathers it.
She's very methodical.
Yes, puts the garbage in the garbage can. More pages. So yeah, it just continues like that.
So
Anyways,
has
just
this
wanted
gone
to show you.
viral, or like what's been the reaction to this? I haven't seen it.
This just got out. This just got out. And the important part of this video, the reason why I was asking Iranian people in Europe to do that is because they're migrants. So this is not a right-leaning anti-immigration thing. So for you to be like, oh my God, right-leaning people, anti-immigration, they are migrants themselves, right? Two, the Iranian people especially Iranian people within the woman life freedom, the Mahsa revolution, have been getting a lot of political capital in Europe, and there's a lot of mass support among the people and politicians for their revolution in Europe. So they can
Mhm.
use that political capital to fight for free speech right now in Europe,
Mm.
because it's really easy right now when right-leaning people do that, when far-right people do that, it's really easy to demonize the acts because these are horrible people, like the far-right people, right? But when people in Europe that have a lot of politicians and a lot of people come in like, yes, woman life freedom and all that, when those people come do that, it's hard to demonize the person now at this moment. And that's why it's hard to also demonize the act. So I was saying that Iranian people in Europe, Sweden is standing alone and is paying a heavy price for standing up for free speech. We need to make this cost, be shared by other European countries. Other European countries need to also see that it's difficult to ban this, especially when somebody like that, politicians in Denmark, it's hard for them to come condemn this person like this.
Mhm.
There's not going to be that support, and also because Islamic countries have now threatened Sweden with cutting ties from Sweden, like, I don't know, Iran, Turkey, Iraq, some other Islamic countries, Pakistan, and they're threatening Sweden. But it's hard for these Islamic countries to do this if this is happening in more European countries, because what are you going to do? Cut ties with, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 European countries? Like, sure, go ahead. Like,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
see what
yeah.
you're. Yeah, like, yeah, you can't do that. So
Mm.
that's why I think the cost needs to be if these countries stand together, it's going to be difficult for Islamic countries to isolate them and make them regret standing up for free speech. So I think it's a very useful use of this political capital to make sure Europe stays Europe. Europe stays, because Europe is under attack right now, and not by people, by certain idea, and not by just ideas coming from certain immigrants, but also ideas coming from European people themselves, revisiting the values and the freedoms and the rights that made these countries so great. Revisiting them and considering going back on them is basically destroying what made this country a place that these immigrants want to go to begin with.
Ooh.
And these immigrants who have chosen these European countries as their destination, I think it's good that they protect the things that they made these countries such a good destination, because a lot of these Europeans themselves don't understand people who come from places where they don't have such freedoms, especially people who are not religious, because religious people, a lot of religious people, their priorities are not this world, right?
Mhm.
But immigrants who come from less free countries, less stable countries, less countries that have less of a respect for human rights, when they come to these countries, if they want to keep these countries the way they are, because they understand that they come from countries, they know what it's like to be in a country where you don't enjoy such freedoms. So it's good if they decide to put this responsibility on themselves to remind those people what they need to be fighting for. Anyways, I've been speaking for so long.
No, no, no. I completely agree. I think it's a really, really important point to bring up. I wanted to read some responses in the live chat from people in Denmark and Sweden, because I think that's like really helpful feedback. And also, sometimes, obviously, because it's your own country in a different language, you have more details and news than what I receive all the way on the other side of the world. Um, so Watcher, who is in Sweden, who said banning it in front of embassies and mosques, I would be fine with. I know that much. So what do you think about like it being specific to location? They'd be like, okay, this is really just about it's not like appropriate in these certain spots.
No, no. If they want to, I would not be okay with them banning it in front of embassies or mosques, unless they have the same standards for everything else. Right? So For example, if you're banning this in front of mosques, would Muslims would be banned to come and protest in front of an atheist gathering? Like, let's say we have an atheist conference in Denmark. Or if Muslims want to come out, not inside the conference, but outside of it, across the street, if they want to come and protest and maybe have desecrations of certain books of, atheists or satanic temple, is that going to be banned? The point is, like, in front of embassies, if I don't know, for example, the US government invaded a country, and people in Sweden or Denmark want to come in front of the US embassy and protest against that and burn the American flag, would that be banned? And if you want to ban all of this, how far does, like, where's the line? Like, what is the standards? Because right now the standards seems to be religion, no, 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 everything else okay. That is not all right. You need to have this is double standard. So this is a form of double standard. So I don't agree with that. Do you agree with that, Susie?
I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, protest. If you don't want to have protesting in front of embassies is the main way that you show your disagreement with the policies of a certain country. So how could you ban all of? You can't ban all of that. Are you going to ban like all forms of like desecrations, because that's a form of protest in front of embassies? So you can't ban protesting in front of embassies, given that how successful of a tool that is to show your disagreement with certain countries. And if you're allowing protests, are you going to disallow certain desecrations? So what? I can't burn the Quran. Can I shred the Quran like we saw? If I can't shred the Quran, can people in other protests, can people not shred other material? Like, can I not shred the Constitution of the United States? Or like, if a bill is being passed and I'm, as an act of protest, I want to shred that bill, can I not shred that? It makes no sense. I mean, this does seem like a slippery slope fallacy, but it's not, because we're talking about the law. It's a slippery slope fallacy. It's a logical fallacy when you say A leads to B and B leads to C, and you don't show how. But because we're talking about the law, within the legal system, when you introduce a law, it does set a precedent. If a ruling by a court or a law, that's how the legal system works. It's not a slippery slope fallacy, because setting a precedent for other things is exactly how the legal system works. So this is not fear mongering that say, oh, this will lead to this, and we are able to back it up. When we say this will lead to that, we are able to back it up, because that's how the law works. Does that make sense what I'm saying? How this is not a slippery slope fallacy?
Yeah. Watcher also said, over time, I found that book burning does convey a deep hatred for ideas, and that will inevitably make people feel threatened if you flat out burn what someone holds really dear, religious or not.
Make feel threatened. Okay, actually, it's the other way around. The people who are threatening Muslims, so if you allow them to, if you say this is bad, if you spread the narrative that this is a bad thing to do, this is anti-Muslim and threatens them and makes them feel uncomfortable, right? And this is anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim, then the people who are going to listen to you are the people who are tolerant over Muslims and immigrants. And the people who are left doing that will be people who are actually threatening Muslims. And what you have done is that you have given a certain way of expressions to be exclusive to those people who are threatening. And that's why you're making that form of expression actually threatening. When you have immigrants themselves do this, or when you have people who are not anti-immigrant or anti-Muslims, people who actually come and express that we are in defense of Muslims and immigrants, their rights, do this, then that message will make this activity less threatening, because you're inviting, you cannot. And here's another thing, using the argument that something is threatening, so let's limit free speech, is basically the idea of giving up liberty for security, which is a very dangerous trade-off. I understand that there are certain things that you might have an issue. That obviously, everything that you do, there might be some cost associated with it. But the bigger cost is giving up on your rights of free expression. So you have to do a cost benefit. I understand that if I burn a Quran or if I desecrate the Quran, there will be certain people that would be bothered by it or upset about it. And I don't want, that's not the intention. That's just a damage that unfortunately has to be tolerated because the consequences of not fighting for freedom of expression is a lot higher. Oh, what you're saying, fair points, fair points. Thank you.
um, Trells, who is in Denmark, said the government has not specified which exact legal avenue it would take. For example, we have various public order statutes that could, in theory, be used to intervene. They also suggested looking at what other countries do, where public burnings in general is considered akin to arson and thus not allowed, but they have not decided so far. So I thought that that was really helpful additional context that Charles provided. So thank you from our local friendly Dane.
Yeah.
We
I mean,
also
I'm okay with saying, I'm completely okay with saying no burnings in general, the Quran or anything else, okay? Because we have other forms of desecration, like a cheese shredder, as you just saw. But if you
Mhm.
say no burnings at all for everything, then that's okay. That's a consistent rule. It's not about it being religion. It's about like, we don't like fires in public spaces. That's okay.
Um, we got some suggestions about types or forms of Quran desecration. So Shika, she's saying you should urinate on a Quran as protest. Well, here's the thing.
No,
He already
that's
has.
ridiculous. Wait, me? No, I haven't. Have
Yes,
I?
you did.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah.
Like 3 years
But I
ago.
didn't share. I
Yeah,
didn't
you didn't
share it
post
though.
video of it, but you did. You
Yeah, yeah.
technically did.
We did.
You tweeted about how you did.
Yes, 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 yes. I don't want to. People get grossed by that. Okay, but guys, it's just like in the toilet. Okay, that's not.
Yeah, yeah,
Can
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
can you
yeah.
not share? Yeah.
Okay, I apologize.
I didn't post it anywhere. Okay, nobody wants to see that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Okay.
And then Tesla, he, from our Persian side of Atheist Republic, he said, but Armin Navabi's method, which was accompanied by dance, was the best method for this work. Can you bring up that
Yes.
video?
Oh my god. No, because it has music. I don't know if it's
Oh
copyrighted.
man. Okay, guys, on the on the Persian side of AR, Armin recently did a Quran ripping dance. Because there are other Persian atheist commenters basically saying that desecration is immoral. And then he was raised to the question of like, okay, but what about these other artists that do form of blasphemy and stuff? What do you think about that? And they're like, oh, well, that's fine because that's art. So he did a Quran ripping dance as his artistic expression to and then beg the question, what is art? When do you get to decide what is and is not art? Um,
Right.
so and the funniest thing is like our community took and put music behind it and everything and like made it a little clip like with Persian music. It was yeah, obviously the music is
Wait,
copyrighted and stuff. I wish we could play it. It was so good.
I can post a link to it in the description. How about that? Should I do that? Wait.
Oh, we have our own video for it now. Nice. Um, and we have a number of super chats from Gasian Americans. So thank you, Gasian. So and he's begging some very thought provoking questions. So I would like us all to consider: is writing the Quran in disappearing ink blasphemous, or is the chemical reaction an act of God? Because there's like a tradition in Eastern calligraphy about doing calligraphy in water and it like
So
evaporates and that itself is like an art
it's
form.
not about eliminating the Quran that is the problem. Okay, it's about the act of disrespect. Okay, so people are saying, "Oh, is deleting a PDF a problem?" No, because nobody sees deleting nobody will see deleting a PDF file as an act of disrespect. Do you understand what I'm saying? So writing a Quran in a disappearing ink, like people think like, "Oh, the Quran burning, people are upset about it because the Quran is being deleted or like removed. No, I mean, within the Islamic tradition, they themselves have a way of disposing of the Quran. Getting, it's just like the act of burning something is like seen as an attack on it. Anyways, yeah.
These live chat reactions. Bro pissed on the Quran and didn't even remember it. What? When you blaspheme so much, you start forgetting some of it.
I mean, it wasn't a big deal. It was just like, okay, so you just tear apart and throw it in the washroom, and before you flush, you take, you piss. So, but that's not a big deal. It's not that hard. Why did you have to bring that? I didn't consent to this being shared. I don't know why I didn't ask
You tweeted about it.
I know, but
You
like
made it public.
I know, but like we're trying to give trigger warning to people now before we talk about these. This is a new standard.
I figured, this whole segment has been about this topic. So if someone hasn't tapped out by now, if they're offended, that's on them.
Fine.
Sorry for embarrassing you or making you uncomfortable.
I'm not embarrassed. I'm just saying that I want to be more the standard. We have a new standard. Okay. Anyways, never mind. Continue.
Okay. Gajan also said, wouldn't it be easier to just ban all burning for environmental reasons?
I'll go pee on it again if you want. I'll go pee on it again if you think embarrassing.
Well, it sounds like there's some people in the live chat that'd like to see that.
They're pervs. These are pervs in the live chat.
Yeah, Newman gave a super chat saying, I need the peen on the Quran video, and Adam Rickster is also asking.
Okay, you guys are weird.
For this video.
Okay, there's a reason why I didn't post that video because of this. Because of you guys. Okay. All right, continue. Let's move on. I don't like this conversation.
Okay, Gajan is raising the point of wouldn't it be easier just to ban all burnings for environmental reasons? I think we kind of touched on this earlier, where you were basically saying if it's consistent, then it's worth considering.
Yeah, I mean, I don't burn the Quran anymore. I just spit on. Okay. So when I want to desecrate the Quran, okay, I do something that is actually more insulting than burning. Okay, I spit on the Quran, I tear it apart, and then I throw it. Okay, and I do one page at a time rather than doing the entire Quran. So I save a whole bunch of Qurans, right? So I think it's more insulting. It's more environmentally friendly. It's less dangerous. Like people might burn their house down trying to do something, right? I think it's a more responsible way to do it, okay, and also, less costly because you're not doing the entire Quran. You're doing one page at a
time. Okay. Gation American is also asking, can I spray paint Quran verses on the floor, making it impossible to not step on it, and then would washing it off be blasphemous?
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. I don't recommend it. I want to, if I desecrate the Quran, I want to make it so that people who don't like it are able to not see it, right? If you are doing something that people are forced to make it life difficult for them, if a Muslim doesn't want to step the Quran, they shouldn't be finding the Quran on the ground. When I desecrate the Quran, any Muslim who doesn't want to see it wouldn't see it. If you write it on the ground, that's just making people's lives difficult. Washing it off would not be blasphemous, again, because I already pointed out it's not deleting the Quran or removing the Quran that they find offensive. It's just an act that is obviously meant to insult, that is insulting. And it's a good. I mean, I'm okay with insulting, but I'm just saying what is insulting is not just the removal of the Quran.
Yeah. And I like, Gation American has one of the most creative brains I've ever encountered, and he comes up with some interesting scenarios. To say the least. And we got a super chat from Erkin saying, if it were to thank you for the super chat, Erkin, saying if it were to ban burning a book, then it should be applied to all books, secular or religious. Then we'd at least protect the culture. So yeah, this is basically what we touched on a second ago.
Exactly. Thank you for exactly. I agree with that completely. Yeah. All right. So I want to highlight these oxymoron chats because did you deselect one of them?
Well, it was
so how many? It was a repeat. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it was completely a repeat. Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so because this has nothing to do with the news items, so I'm just going to quickly go over them. Oh, we got another super chat from Gage in America, so I just said as well. Oxymoron is saying AR covered BAPs temple is that what you of USA for caste discrimination in extremely vitriolic manner. Judicial system found accusation against the temple made up, despite repeatedly pointing out there was no follow up. Well, actually, the way we covered that news very responsibly, I remember every time we cover things like this, we say like, well, this remember people be skeptical. This might not be the case. We have to wait for the results to be able to make a determination of what's happening here. I remember us being very responsible about it, unlike how Oxymoron is describing it. Also, oxymoron doesn't seem to understand how the judicial system works. It's not that they found the accusations to be made up. That's not what how the court system works. Is if you don't have enough evidence to back up something, the court doesn't come up and make a claim. So this is what I notice a lot of Hindutva people do as well. A lot of religious people in general do when they see a claim. The court not being able to prove something that somebody that they like did wrong, they think that this is a proof that that thing doesn't happen. That thing might still have happened. It's just that there's not enough evidence to make the claim. So it's not like they are claiming that the accusation was made up. That's not at all how the legal system works, and that comes from a very basic understanding and naive understanding of how anything works within the legal system. And also, there was no follow up because we cover stuff that we think that our audience finds interesting, and the follow up on that news didn't seem that interesting. Yeah, so there's that.
As
There's
evidenced by the
another
fact of people in the live chat saying, like asking him not to not talk about this stuff.
Yeah. So here, even as he points out, so we're saying that our audience is already bored by guys. I'm gonna answer this and I'm gonna move on. Okay, Oxymoron is saying AR devotedly pushed conspiracy prevalence of casteism in U.S. Hindus. That's not a conspiracy. That's the thing. When Brahmin employees got cleared, coverage turned thin enough for what to leave lingering doubts about possible casteism. Why the what deficit? Okay, so no, this is not a conspiracy. Not just U.S. Hindus, wherever Hindus are, you will see casteism. That's something, unfortunately, that people bring with them. I mean, prevalence. I don't know if it's prevalent, but it does exist. Okay, it's just a natural thing. People, when they migrate, they bring some of their culture with them, the good and the bad. That's something that happens everywhere. Yeah, and they see, I don't understand the
It's not,
list of
I
it.
think
I
it's
don't
worth
understand.
saying that it's not like inherent to these people though, and you shouldn't assume
No.
that when you meet someone that is Hindu, you shouldn't assume that they have that
Yes,
belief.
that's
But I
exactly.
know that this is something that is experienced here in America because I talk to my friends about it. And some of them have actually told me that they have never seen it be as explicit in India as it is in the US. They were shocked.
Yeah, and this
But
is
that's
something that
anecdotal, right? And I can acknowledge that that's anecdotal. But I have people in my
yeah,
life that tell me about this, right?
yeah, but
Firsthand.
we're not. I mean, that's why I'm saying that I don't know about the prevalence. I know about the existence. That's a very easy claim to make. That's not a very extraordinary claim. And the existence of it doesn't mean that you see it in every Hindu. Obviously, you don't. Okay, in fact, you probably, on average, won't. In fact, many Hindus might be in the U.S. might be shocked that such a thing exists within the U.S. among Hindus, right? But all I'm saying is that it's completely reasonable to assume that some of the bad culture travels when people travel, with any people. Okay, so I mean, if for example, if Americans, if I don't know, certain Americans have this white supremacist attitude, and guess what? When they travel, and by the way,
Here's an
Americans don't like to
example.
call. Let me
American
make my
Christian
point, please.
evangelicals.
Oh,
They import
exactly,
homophobia.
exactly. And let me complain about American immigrants a little bit to you. You know what American immigrants call themselves? they don't call themselves immigrants, because immigrants for dirty poor people from backward countries. The word expat is, I think, has been created so that you don't call yourself an immigrant.
Literally, it's so stupid. Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
an
So
immigrant. I'm an
yeah,
American expat.
I'm an
Okay.
expat. So the supremacist. So just like Americans, when they travel, that supremacist attitude, they take that with them wherever they go. The casteist attitude that many Hindus have, they take that wherever. When some of them when some of them take that with them where they go. It's completely unavoidable, I think. So yeah. Okay, so
But we don't essentialize.
we don't essentially, yeah, and again, because it's cultural, that means that it's not inherent within people's um ethnicity. Of course it's not. Yeah. So again, I like how oxymoron gives us an excuse to brag about how good we are every time. No, seriously, because I'm so proud, Susie. I am so proud of how responsible we are when we cover the news. And I think oxymoron keeps trying to show the opposite. And for me, every time he does that, it's a great way to remind our audience about actually how careful we are about making sure that we are not spreading hatred against any group of people. So thank
Mhm.
you, Oxymoron, for that.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't want to be uncritical towards ourselves, right? Because that is really important
right.
to me. But
Yes.
I do really try my best. But I
Yeah,
fail.
we are
That's okay.
trying. Yeah, that's what we do. We are trying. Gagin American gave us a super chat. Do you want to read this one?
Asian American with again some of the most creative ideas for blasphemy and desecration. Honestly, Gasian, you should start like writing these down and put them in a zine. Thank you for the super chat, saying so detachable dance plates with a Quran on it. What is a detachable
Sure.
dance plate?
How about you make a video, Gagin American, and show us what that means?
Facts.
Yeah.
Asian
I was.
American, he sends me DMs of his calligraphy of like blasphemous
We
stuff
need
and
to
like
go to the
woman
next
life
news.
freedom. It's awesome. Okay, yeah.
Okay, wait. Seriously, we need to get to the next news. Selva celebrating 20 month of membership, saying late for the party. Thank you, Selva, for being a member. And
Thank you.
Newman saying, guys, by the way, Oxymoron is a casteist himself. Exactly. I don't know why he's even
I mean, I don't
complaining
know
about
if
it.
I don't know if I want to
Yeah, maybe
defend this
not.
guy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if he is a full blown casteist. He definitely is a
He is.
self proclaimed racist. So that's not cool.
Fascist. He's a self-proclaimed fascist as
And
well.
a self proclaimed racist.
Right. So there
It's
we go.
pretty wild. It's pretty wild.